Welcome back to Network Africa. You can watch us live on m.channelstv.com, especially for our viewers outside West Africa. Also, would like you to download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS, and Windows phones from their respective stores. And if you've missed any part of the program, please log on to youtube.com/channelsweb. Burundi government has launched an offensive against civilians believed to be in possession of illegal arms. Security forces in Burundi are conducting door-to-door searches to confiscate firearms in an effort to end the spate of violence in the country. There has been widespread unrest in the landlocked African country since April, when President Pierre Nkurunziza announced he would stand for a third term in office. With several killings, of course, reported, or thousands have fled the country amid this crisis. Despite the troubles having seemingly intensified in recent weeks, the government says the violence will be stopped. There have been concerns about just how aggressive the authorities have been, and that how this crackdown will indeed be effective in the long run. Well, to get the latest on this issue, I am now being joined by Jean Regis. He's a media consultant. He joins us from Bujumbura. Thank you so much for making our time to speak to us on Network Africa. First, we understand that the exercise is targeted at a certain group of people. But, I mean, there are reasons to be worried about the way the raids are conducted.
Yes, people are worried about that because, you know, the human rights abuse that occurred last week. So, and everyone is kind of, when the police is inside district, some people have to be killed. And that's what happened from Friday up to now. Friday, 5 people have been killed. Today in the morning, 2 people have been killed. Yesterday, one person has been killed. So, the end concern is how the police conduct these operations.
Well, it seems like desperate times calls for desperate measures. Is this really working?
Can you come again?
I said it appears that this to a lot of people is in a way called some sort of high-handedness in trying to achieve a certain kind of result. Is it producing the kind of result that a government wants it to produce?
The government have issues to deal, have issues in how to deal with this insurrection. He can't, he has to fight or to negotiate with them. But the government, they can't negotiate with the protesters who are armed, because the government has to negotiate with politicians who are in exile. So this is the main issue, sir. You can't fight and at the same time negotiate. So this is the problem. And there is another problem of international community pressure. International community pressure wants everyone on the table to negotiate. So that's the main issue. So is the president going to say yes to the negotiation and join the opposition on the table? That's the main issues for now.
So what are the measures taken to protect the civilian population from any kind of a breakdown that might occur through this process?
For example, people have been asking the question for an international force as a peacekeeper or to intervene between the regions. As people have been calling that for that, because they know once there is a neutral force between the police and the protesters, no one will get to attack the other one. So this is one kind of solution. Otherwise, politicians have to negotiate and sit down.
Well, let's talk more about these protesters. What are their demands? What do they want? And is President Nkurunziza listening to their demands?
Actually, the protesters demand the same thing. They're saying they are against the third term of Pierre Nkurunziza. So Pierre Nkurunziza himself, he doesn't want to abandon his project to go on with this third term. So this is their main demand. So as long as Nkurunziza is a president, they won't abandon their struggle. That's their main demand. But otherwise, if there is a way to stop these mass killings, these arrestations or torturing sessions. They can be this another demand, but it will be done by international community involvement in this conflict.
Now, you're asking for a better way for this arms disarmament exercise to be implemented. What do you suggest? Because it then appears that this is the government's last resort. This is the government's last option. Do you think there is a better way for the government to carry this out?
The other way for the government was actually to win the war. If Nkurunziza would win the war, that would be maybe okay for him. Maybe there's a peace after. But the problem is that he's not winning the war. How come maybe the police can do a search in a district and they can't get any guns in the district? Because it's so complicated. You can't fight people. You can't fight people who are supporting protesters inside the district. So is Nkurunziza going to win the war, or in maybe accept dialogue? So this is a complex, very complex political debate.
Well then, Jean Regis, thank you so much for speaking to us on Network Africa. We'll definitely keep an eye on the arms disarmament exercise and see how effective it will end up being at the end of the day. Let's take you on a short break on Network Africa. When we come back, asset management experts advises the federal government of Nigeria to enforce maintenance culture. In a moment.